Okay, then I call the meeting to order. So before we get started, I just thought I'd mention that, I saw Jim at Gloria's husband's wake, but I also went to the funeral mass and, support a little bit after. So she'll probably be taking a month off.
Okay.
So.
She's staying around?
Oh, yeah. I mean, her sister has come out for her up from Florida. And so, she'll probably take a month off and, because it was a sudden thing. I mean, he did have an illness, a health illness, and he was outside and he fell on the concrete and hit his head, and that was it. So.
She told me the last time she was here that he'd been falling every day.
Yeah. So his condition. But anyway. So, but all the family showed up, and, so I think it was a good occasion, and she will get through it, and, she'll be back, being cranky. So anyway, but I just wanted to share that with you, so. Okay, so let's look at the July 21st minutes.
I will correct your name.
Thank you.
Oh, she put it under your alias?
Yes, you can look at my alias, EY. I was going to wear my hat that says Lindsay today,
I
but
bounce back and forth between two ends.
Do I? I'm sorry.
It's okay. I know who that is.
well, I know who Don Lindsay is, but
It's just every day for me. Some people get it right, some people don't. When did I know that?
So if there's any questions, I need a motion to approve.
if you have a motion to approve.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, unanimous. And Gary's here for public comment? No, I'm just kidding. I'm here for, I know. Okay,
May I make a comment, Joe, under public comment?
sure.
I'm very disappointed.
And?
The fact that there are no tenants here
Yeah.
for this public comment and for this meeting. That's all I have. I just wanted to voice my
Okay.
disappointment.
Well, maybe things have calmed down and people are tired.
Uh,
I mean, I don't know. I mean, part of you as being a tenant rep, I mean, it's just important for you to be active in gathering stuff, not so much providing them with an opinion all the time, but as much as listening and gathering and keeping the pulse on that so that, then, we as the board and the executive director and all of us, we can make sure that we steer things to, a little bit calmer environment. I think for the most part, people want things to calm down a bit.
Yeah.
yes,
They don't
absolutely.
I mean, it has got to be really difficult on older, I know this with my dad when he gets all pumped up on politics and the news, his blood pressure's up. I tell my sister to just turn off the news and cut him off and, get him to do something else to basically calm down. And I think the same thing we just need to do.
From what I've heard, Joe, that's exactly what all the people that I've spoken to want. They just want the community to be as it was, which was basically we got along. And I think that's an important thing to bring to the board, that people do want to get along here,
Yeah.
by and large.
Are you saying there's still some on this?
Yes, unfortunately.
Are you going to elaborate at all?
Yeah, well, I'm not going to name names, obviously,
In general.
but in general, there is a tenant that I hear from on a regular basis through text messages, and even as early as this past Saturday, I got a series of them, and I finally told the tenant, look, I'm trying to prepare for military honors for my dad. who died 49 years ago, but my mother declined the honors at that point, so I've set it up. Even after that, the tenant continued on. And it's nitpicking stuff. It's just foolishness. And I've brought it to Tammy's attention time after time, and I've told this tenant, bring it to Tammy. And the last two I got were on Sunday. I just didn't bother responding.
I'm assuming you're referring to the tenant that constantly continues to copy me on everything.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Joe, that is
Yeah, okay.
the tenant.
Yes. So- Well, the reality is, I mean, unless you violate the rules, I mean, what we are doing a good job of, I think, and certainly you deserve a lot of credit for that, is getting these procedural documents together so that we have a set of, of basically boundaries, ground
Right.
rules. If you violate the ground rule, now we have cause. Everybody's on notice. And then that way, I think that, between the tenants and what we can do, I think everything this year we can calm it down fairly much. But you're never going to, unfortunately, I mean, there's always somebody that wants to be a stick in the mud.
So what would make this tenant happy?
You really want me to say?
Yes.
For Tammy to be gone,
Yeah.
and for one of the maintenance personnel to be gone. That's what's going to make
The
her.
lawns aren't mowed right.
Yep, exactly.
If we mow in the front, he's getting something because we didn't mow the back, we mowed the front first.
Or vice versa.
Yeah.
That's not
Hey, you know
really
what? Look, as board,
Yeah.
I'm supportive of how you're managing things. I just like to go on record. And you just can't always kowtow to the person.
Right.
Okay? And, hey, this is our thing. Yes, it's not an exact schedule. Did you see that tropical storm that came? Whatever.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we just have to keep doing our job. And, I mean, the other thing that I would say would be, the third factor, as you and I know, would be to, quote, clear the record.
What's that mean, clear the record?
Just, a record in terms of what she's on record in terms of at the facility. So I can't go any deeper than that, but I just want you to know that I know that from the emails I got, and I know that you know that from the emails, but that's not something, I mean, the thing is that when we follow certain procedures, those are procedures that have been dictated by DHCD. And so you can always fall back on that, so, okay.
Yep.
But, hopefully, pardon, go ahead.
When you finish, Joe.
No, I was just saying that, we have to keep it minimal, we're on the public record, we have to protect the privacy of the individual, it's just, okay, go ahead, Jim.
Just curious, after the public speaking policy was posted, did you hear any?
No.
Nothing?
Nothing.
No one's given
Nope.
any feedback on that?
Nope.
Don, you haven't heard?
I haven't heard word one, Joe.
Nope.
I mean, Jim, sorry.
That's okay, Jim Joe.
Thank you.
Okay, then let us,
Yep, so Gary can go home.
yeah, sorry, Gary, I didn't mean to.
No
delay you.
problem at all.
Okay,
You should have a packet of the financial statements for June 30th, 2021.
Yes.
If you look at the tabs on the top, I
Yes,
kind of
okay.
tabbed everything together.
Okay.
So we won't be
We have
going,
2
whoa.
months, I'm sure you have July's financials too, but I want to touch base with the highlights of the fiscal year end that we had. And I guess everything pretty much showed within budget and right on target with budget. The one thing that I pointed out that when we did our budget last year, we had estimated our operating reserve to be at $128,009, which would have been 52% of maximum. We ended the year actually at $160,429, or at 64% of maximum. That leaves us actually in a good financial position moving into our new fiscal year. Now, the new fiscal year, we haven't received budget guidelines yet on. If you remember last year, I think we received them probably in, I think it was early September, and I'm hearing nothing out of Boston regarding when they're gonna be issuing those new guidelines. Hopefully, we'll find out whether or not we will get an increase in the annual non-utility expense level. Last year, if you remember, we originally thought we had a 4% cut. That 4% cut was reinstated, and we got it back during the year. And like I said, I don't know what's going to happen this year in terms of the allowing an increase. The good thing is, I mean, financially, when it came to our operating budget, if you went down all the line items, you're going to see we were right within target. The increase in the reserve came from primarily, we received COVID funds last year. COVID relief funds through the federal government, came through the state. That helped increase our reserves for the upcoming year. And let's see, the other thing was, and again, we ended up saving it was 12,204 is how much we were able to put into our reserves based upon our mini splits that we have. And Joe, I know we still have in the background those other, what is it, the monies that we still could get for rebates?
Oh, okay, yeah, Maren sent us a letter, so let's pivot to that, and I will give you, let me see where I put it, and I'll give you a copy.
Here, I can give him a copy.
Okay.
Actually, that'll be good, because that's probably something that's going to go in towards the
Yeah.
current budget.
Well, you know, the debate is, when we filed this, Gary,
Yeah,
basically, we have 9 years to decide to apply for the credits.
yep,
So even though they wanted the revenue, last year it was so low, you know, so I've just constantly battled against them, and I said, well, look, you know, if you don't, you know, this is what we need to do, and there's no way we're going to spend it anyway, or maybe it's been 2 years ago, and then it sort of worked out well. So now this is his letter in what he anticipates. But if we have all these extra funds, you know, unless the price spikes up to where, you know, because he's saying at the end of 2023, it might go to $30.
okay.
Okay, and so that would like double. So my point is that we have a lot of excess money. I mean, yeah,
Right, we don't need.
but we
Yep.
don't need this, so we can basically, or you can write him back, Tammy, and basically tell Maren that, you know, the committee met. Now, I don't know if we need to vote on this, but the sort of the recommendation is, because of all the extra funds and we can only spend so much, that we're going to push it to 2023 in hopes that we get to $30.
I mean, it sounds like a good plan. I mean, when it comes to
You know,
our
unless
operating
somebody
budget,
else-
I think we should be in good shape for the next year, so why, if there's something, it's almost like money in a savings account.
Right.
Right, I mean, that's the way I'm looking at it, because we have 9 years, so we're 3 years in, so we can still go a couple of more years to see if it rebounds. Because it was really artificially suppressed because of the way the state migrated from the old one to the new one, and then everything just came all in at one time, you know, so it's like excess supply. Well, the demand just reduced the price, so.
That's good, that kind of answered one of the questions I had, was in preparation of next year's budget.
Yeah.
Will we be looking at that and say, no, we'll go into the year?
No, we don't, yeah, we don't
Okay.
need, so, but if someone else thinks that we should do something different,
He
you know.
says he thinks the risk of waiting till 2023 is too high. Does he have any real idea about that?
No, he wants the price to go high.
However, I believe the risk of waiting, the new regulations enactment with their written word to remove double funding sources is too high. I don't know. Isn't that what he's saying?
Yeah, what he's saying is there's a risk. Well, the point is, for us, and the message back from Tammy is, look, we wouldn't be able to spend the money anyway.
Okay.
So even if there is a risk that it doesn't go to that, yeah, the risk is low, but it's been low, so it's not like, you know, we have the 9 years to tap into it,
Why
so.
can't we spend the money?
What?
Why can't we?
No. Oh, well, we would have to get special approval. I'm just
Still have to
saying,
get budget approval for
We-
any expenditures from DHCD.
and you got,
And our reserves are in a good situation as of right now. I mean,
Mhm.
2 years down the road might be a whole different story.
And then we would need this cash,
Right.
and if it's
Right.
higher, that would help us out
Yeah.
more. So if we don't need the cash, because we would just be looking for more, if we really don't need it, let's push it out. That's my reco. Anyway, okay.
Yeah, okay, so back to just the financials. Like I said, there's a lot of pages in here, a lot of things that mean a lot, but the main thing was the reserve level. The reserve level increased, and all our line items were spent in accordance with everything that was approved. And I guess I'm here to take it, if you have any specific questions or concerns. I know Tammy and I mentioned to her about talking to the bank, in which we took care of those non-interest bearing accounts.
Yeah, we still have one. We took care of the laundry account. The
Yeah.
pet one, we had to do some, they needed updated IDs, we're in the process of it.
Okay, yep.
It
Yeah,
was a little more difficult than it
okay.
should have been, but it's
It's
okay.
not like we're getting a lot of interest, we're not. We weren't getting any.
Right.
That's why I said it was concerning that
Right.
we should at least have something in interest-bearing account.
Yes, okay.
The mod programs that you have probably the mod
Yes.
sheets there, everything there is balanced as of the current point.
It's a packet.
Again, the mod does not close out, it closes out at each work plan. And those are all ongoing at this point. I'm sure you have more other projects coming up too.
Yeah, in fact, Hugh from our RCAP was here today.
Okay.
So we sat down and had lunch with Jim and Dakota and I, and we talked about a few things, so.
Oh, good.
Yep.
Good. So that's always good. That's our capital budget that we have.
Okay.
Oh, the other thing that you're voting on today, you're voting on the financials basically for the year end, but you're also, if you've been presented it and shown your reserve, is also the top 5, which happens to be all of our employees. It's actually just 4 employees. And what that does is that's something that DHCD enacted a few years ago to report not just through budget. We're budget-wise, we always budget for our positions, but when we send in this form, we're actually indicating exactly how much everybody was made. So it's actual payroll. And all our payments are all within, they leave a 3% variance level. Our variance level, the most was 0.5%, and one was actually a 17.8% variance, but it was under, not over. And so it's not like that's an issue.
Okay, so when we vote on this, what are we specifically
You're
voting?
basically just voting on it that you've seen it, it's been presented to you,
Okay,
okay? Obviously, you can't be assured that it's the correct numbers, but that's something that is reviewed when the AUP comes, when you have an audit. So the procedure is, at an audit, they look to make sure that it was accurate. So there's always somebody looking into it. And
at a later,
right.
okay.
And I've prepared it, it came right from our payroll.
So we're just voting to accept this?
You're voting that says you've received it.
Okay, that we've received it. Okay, just so it's an acknowledgement? vote.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
that's it, okay. Oh, I always like, so, because no matter what I do, periodically I get confused always about our energy relationships,
Okay.
with the So could you sort of re-explain how it works?
Basically,
And whether
Yep.
you actually think, because you were here when we first started it,
Yep.
whether this has a benefit for us, or a little bit of a benefit?
Solar net metering you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yes,
all of the
absolutely.
things that we did, and
If
so we,
if you look, if you saw this page right here, our quarterly, this is our year-end report.
okay, so you're not talking about the first page here?
No, that one, well, if you looked at on the July one, or the June one, it's going to be in there, but I want
Okay.
to probably point out better on the quarterly report, Joe, which would have been this page, right, I think right there.
This one?
Yep.
Or this?
No, that was, this is the.
Okay, here's energy, okay, I see. Here's where you sort of break it out. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, the quarter,
Okay.
if you go back,
Which page?
it said, she stuck quarterly operating.
Yeah.
Is that quarterly?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
see the sticker?
Right there.
Go to that page.
Yeah, and I
Okay.
can just basically tie into the year end, the way it worked. And if you look at the utility section down under, it's line number,
4,300?
starting with 28, where it says water, electricity, gas. You'll notice where it says line 34, solar operator cost.
Mm-hmm,
That's how much we've spent over the year to the direct solar operator cost.
mm-hmm,
Which was 41,976.
mm-hmm,
The next line, which is net metering credit,
mm-hmm.
that's how much we got credited on our utility bill for the net metering credit, in other words, for what was generated at that solar farm.
Mm-hmm.
That 66,000 decreases our electric cost. And then up in the top where it says line number 4320, electricity,
Mm-hmm.
that's actually how much we paid to the electric company,
Okay,
okay?
yep,
Then if we go up top on line number, with the revenue side,
mm-hmm,
where it says 3693, other revenue energy net meter,
36, okay,
that's 12,000, that's half of our savings
mm-hmm,
that goes back to DHCD. And then the other half, which is included in the line up above, would come 3691,
mm-hmm,
that's other revenue retained. That includes the other half plus our other revenue that we receive that we get to keep.
mm-hmm.
So that directly goes into, the retained part directly goes into what goes into our operating reserve as a surplus.
Mm-hmm.
And the 12,000 that goes back to DHCD is used to calculate the subsidy decrease. So in other words, we're giving money back to DHCD based on the savings.
Right,
Now, that wasn't true the year before, where we got to keep 100% of it. So when we get budget guidelines, there's two major things that we look for purposes of, for us in Granby. What's the ANUEL increase? How much can we increase the budget? And second, will we get to keep, maybe they'll let us keep 100% again of the savings, which would be for us another $12,000. So
yeah,
we only can wait and find out, and the state hasn't made those determinations yet.
okay,
So if the overall picture of the net metering, has it helped us? Yes, it has. It has. We benefit.
okay,
And you want those quarterly from now on, correct? Okay.
Quarterly is what I'm gonna, if we get it quarterly, I can put those entries in quarterly versus at the year end. But ultimately, because this is our year end report, that's about how much it's worth for us.
okay.
Okay.
So it's worth about, so in the end, it's worth 12,000. So just to sort of reiterate to make sure that I understand it, our true electric bill costs are electricity at 98,000, whatever that line was,
Yeah?
plus solar operator costs at 41,976.
Right, plus,
Okay.
right.
Okay, so that's our true cost, because the net metering credit saved about 25,000, and we got about half of it, and we get about half of that, so it's
Yep.
about a 50-50 split.
Yep.
And the money that we get to retain, we then put into our reserve
It goes
fund,
into our reserve. It's part of-
which becomes part of the annual calculation.
Exactly, and it
Okay.
becomes part of that percentage that we have.
Right.
And
Okay.
when your reserves are above 35%, which ours are,
Mm-hmm,
those are things that we could use if we need to do over and above could be afforded.
mm-hmm,
Okay? The overall for the calculation, how much subsidy we actually earned from DHCD last year, if you go, flip back about 4 pages from that point, or not back, forward, I'm sorry,
yep.
to a form that looks like this. says on the top, operating subsidy calculation.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. This form is the one that I talk about when we talk about a budget and our year end, because it's used both in our budget and in our year end. So when I talk about the A and UEL, that's line number 2, 289,480. That's the one, that was the level a year ago. That's what they level funded us at this past year, 289. That's the one when they say, if they come out with guidelines that say they give us a 4% increase, it's 4% on that number. Okay?
So quickly, if it's 4% on that number, and we have 160,000 already, then they would then make up the difference supposedly by
No,
sending
the
us.
160 is our operating reserve.
Oh, that's a,
Operating budget.
okay, so that's not part of the annual calculation?
No.
Okay,
It only is in terms of after we do the budget, of whether or not, if we started budgeting items to come out of reserve, anything over this A and UEL amount
I see.
would have to come out of
Would have to come,
reserves.
okay,
Right.
okay, I got it.
But two of the two things that are, if you look down on line number 8, last year we received 22,182 of COVID funds. So obviously that money will not be available in next year's budget. But the ASHPs, PS, that is money that probably will be also included. If you remember DHCD last year in the guidelines, they allowed for all the housing authorities that got mini splits, additional maintenance funds, money, because it requires some additional maintenance. So that's why that 4,425 got added on. And my understanding is it will be added on this year too. So the interesting thing is, if you look, our original budget estimated our subsidy to be at 115,276, which is line number 12. The actual subsidy earned was 108,223. So in terms of what we actually budgeted and what we earned are a little different, because when we do the calculation, as in we did under the actual amount, the A and UEL stays the same along with the add-ons, but the revenue side changes. We use actual, and we use actual utilities in the calculation. So that's why sometimes when we budget, utilities is important, but yet it's funded by DHCD, which is why they take 50% of the savings back. That's why that calculation and the way it's presented is weird, but it has to be that way in order for us to earn it.
Right, okay.
And down below, you'll see that we actually received subsidy of 139,000 through the year. So that line number 18 says, okay, you have an overpayment due Boston, 31,000. Now, we don't send that money back. We just use that towards our next year's subsidy. So it just means that we've got 31,000 towards our new subsidy for the new year to start with. And it would have been reversed. If the opposite happened, they would owe us money, then we obviously would end up getting money from them that they owe us.
Okay, so line 2, 289, 480, let's say that is the number, minus 31,000 is what they'll actually physically put into our account, right? Because we have a
We've already
30...
received that. Everything's...
Okay, no, okay, what I'm saying is coming forward to the next one, because we
Right.
have this, what do you
Well,
call it?
next year, we have this overpayment.
Right, but next year, if that was it, and that's what we were to get, then it would be 289 minus the 31 would be the
Well, the
physical.
calculation would go through the same way.
Okay,
Don't forget, the A and UEL also take, in the subsidy calculation, takes into consideration what we receive for rents
okay,
from the tenant.
okay, yeah.
So, I mean, if you follow that math, you kind of see, because it's add this, subtract that.
Okay.
But when it comes to you know, see on the top where it says revenue? That the makeup of the 376 is not the same as the revenue accounts that from the front page, because it does not include that account 3691, because we get to keep that account. But it does include that line 3693, which is half of the savings of utilities that goes back to the, it goes back to the state by reducing the subsidy earned.
Okay.
Kind of a mix of a bunch of formulas going in and out.
How do you keep this all straight?
He was confusing me, I'm
Oh, yeah.
I've been doing it for years.
I guess that's why.
I'm impressed.
So the other page that's kind of important in that, if you flip some more pages forward, you see the one where it says computation of investments in fixed capital,
The last page.
the last page. The important thing again is that halfway down that page, it says net position, unrestricted operating reserve. That 128,009, that's how much we were a year ago on July 1st. And through all the calculations of everything in this, you'll see the bottom one, it says 160,429. That's why I said our operating reserve is actually starting on July 1st at 160,429.
Okay, and does that correlate back to the 31,000? Because,
No, all we're
okay,
saying on the 31,000 is out of next year's subsidy, when we do a budget, we'll be doing a budget based, it'll have a subsidy. Now, the subsidy that we actually started with for this year in our budget was 115,276. If everything stays the same, then all it means is that next year, the 31 is advanced towards the 115.
okay, the only reason that I sort of did that was because a quick look at 160 minus 128, that's around 31,000.
Yeah, no,
So I was like,
it's not the-
okay,
it's not the
is
same.
that why we had that?
No,
Okay,
it's not the
okay,
same.
but it's not the same,
Yeah.
okay. But the number was so close, I
Yeah,
was just,
it's
you know,
just a coincidence.
okay, okay.
Um,
Okay, guys, any questions, Jim or
No.
Diane? Okay, well, I'm glazed over, I don't know.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know about you
and it
guys,
feels
but,
like-
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I learned a few
When
things,
you look
yeah.
at this stuff too, it can be confusing. Give me a
Okay.
call.
Yeah, okay,
Call me, I can run
okay,
over it with you, but the end result is when we do the budget, try to remember operating reserve. Because that operating reserve is the one that talks about, we can't go below 35%. We're at 64, which is good. So we can do things like, if Tammy calls me sometimes and says, oh, we have to do this item. I'm trying to think what you just called me on. I said,
Oh, we had to replace the
Oh,
hot
the hot
water.
water
The
tank.
hot water tank in the garage went. We had no hot water in the laundry
I
room.
said, well, that's extraordinary, we're gonna put that in the budget. That's gonna probably come out of our operating reserve.
okay.
You see what I'm saying? It's,
Yeah, but it's there for us to spend.
right, but you don't wanna be below 35%.
So 35% is what amount in
It's,
dollars? Is that like roughly half of whatever
it's
this one?
35%, it's 35% of 248, so
Oh, wow, okay,
700 and,
120.
maybe 188,000 maybe.
okay,
So, and all it means is that if that goes below 35%, it doesn't mean that Boston's gonna leave us out to dry and say you can't do these certain things. It just means we have to go through more hoops to get
Yeah.
approval to use the funds if we're below 35%.
okay. But basically then, if we had some, all of a sudden, major project, and it comes, oh my God, we have $60,000.
There is funds available.
We have the funds available to do it.
Anytime a major
yeah.
item comes up, and that's why I always will tell Tammy, the first step is, how much is it? I mean, if we're
Yeah.
talking something that's a $30,000-$40,000 item, I always say, let's see if there's capital money. Call RCAP.
Yep.
And get, we want to utilize all those resources before jumping into
First.
this.
Right.
But something like, we just came across the hot water tank, $6,500,
Yeah, okay,
we got the money to do it. That's what it's there for.
okay. Would we still apply to the state to see if they'd pay for it?
They would
No.
look at our reserve and
Well, they
say,
would-
And they would say, take it out of the.
They would
okay.
do it like they did with the stack pipes up at Hillside. They took that $6,000 out of another
one of your other
project
projects.
and diminished, so you don't really, you try not to do that, but sometimes you have to do that.
It's kind of a juggling thing, it kind of go where
Yeah.
we need to at the time. When something like that happens, if our budget, our reserves were at 30%, then we'd have to be saying, we
Yeah.
can see what we can do. But something like that, it's not like it wasn't a nice thing, it was just we had to do a hot water tank. So
Yeah, that's okay,
that's what
okay.
it's there for.
Well,
So yes, that would be the first thing that'll be in our budget.
and I'm sure that was an old hot water tank, right?
It was the original.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was an original.
Well, that's not bad,
No.
50 years or
No, and you
whatever,
can't
and
get
you
the
gotta
size, and it
replace
was a whole mess.
You can't complain about that.
No,
So,
it was funny.
Okay. Okay, but it's
So
good
anyways-
to know that we have some of the extra cash to solve a problem. It won't
Yeah.
solve everything, because let's face it, $60,000 can evaporate like that in today's environment,
That's why I
but
said,
still.
let's tear the buildings down and build them all brand new. It's only gonna be 15 million.
Yeah, hey, yeah, well, we're all used to taking on debt.
Yeah, but no, I'm just kidding, and
No, I know.
I'm just kidding on that, but.
All
Okay,
right.
so can I ask this
Sure.
question, if you have any feedback as an accountant? Periodically, I read about, because I'm on the finance committee for the town, so I get these other state newsletters about maybe the governor, they're talking about throwing another 200 million into, what are you going to do for public housing, or that, is that a real thing, or is that just him politically talking? Because 2 or 3 years ago, when I went to my one annual meeting of NARU, one of the governor's guys was there talking about, oh yeah, we're going to commit like 80 million, we're looking for projects, I don't know, or is that really a private thing that
No,
they're trying
I
to
think
push?
what's happening now is, I haven't seen any new developments
Mhm.
of housing projects through the conventional type that we've done, Chapter 667, Chapter 705. Everything seems to be going towards the nonprofit side of the private,
Of the private part, yeah, that's.
right, the credits, the
Yeah.
federal tax credits, where they
Okay.
do a mix of all that development, and it's very, very complicated. It seems like the only ones getting those are the ones like
Mm-hmm.
the larger, what is it, Northampton, they've got that redevelopment company.
Yeah,
The Wayfinders, where they have staff all lined up that go just do that. I'm trying to think, Wayfinders, aren't they doing a project in Ludlow?
I think so.
Finally got approval on that, they're downtown. That seems to be the only place that it goes there. I don't know if that will ever come back and start developing under, like, Chapter 667.
Okay. It would, if they developed it, it would be a new chapter, and then everybody'd have to fall in line again.
Right.
and It might be another
If they
50
have
years.
new money out there.
Right.
Sometimes I hear the governor talk about affordable housing, and his idea is that people can't afford a $300,000 home, or a $500,000 home, so we need to create homes that are only worth $300,000.
Oh, yeah, well, give me, right.
That's,
That doesn't solve the
it
problem.
does not the problem that we see.
Yeah, I was fascinated to hear of how private equity firms were buying up all of these little trailer parks. And then they were just jacking their rent. A lot of people can't afford.
Right.
There was this one place, at least Mass had the right of first refusal. Now, these guys, these corporate guys, could get Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac funds. But the group that ultimately was able to buy out their place for $4 million could not get any Fannie Mae, Freddie
Yeah.
Mac funds. I mean, that's like crazy.
Yep.
So, the state should buy all the trailer parks and then turn them into co-ops. Seriously.
I don't know what the answer
Yeah,
is on that.
no, I know, but I'm just saying it reflects, everything's private, everything's higher end.
Yep,
Nothing is really realistic, so. Okay,
okay.
guys, any other questions? Okay.
Okay, well, I know you got a lot on your agenda, but just like I said, Tammy, make sure they make the vote and sign those pages, and then we can get these submitted by
Oh, they
next
have
week.
pages to sign, that's right. I forgot about that.
Okay, take care now, thank you.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank
Bye,
you.
Gary.
Okay. Okay, so what's next?
So back to the director's report.
Okay.
Actually, motion to accept the financials.
Oh, that's true. I need a motion to accept.
You have a motion to accept financials?
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Should we, are you going to hold, do you have everything to vote later, or do you want to vote on this now?
No, you can vote to accept that.
Okay. Okay, so again, I also need a motion to,
Motion to accept the top 5 salary form, top 5 compensation form, I'm sorry.
okay, we're just accepting it. As he said, we're not validating that all the numbers are correct, because that'll be done in an audit at a later date.
So moved.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. There we go. Okay, what's next?
The director's report.
Okay.
So we went, of course, you know, everybody knows the mandate. We still had 1 vacancy here at Finns Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Needed more work than we anticipated there, but we're trudging through it. Should be ready within the next month. That's the handicap vacancy. Today we met with Hugh McKay, who's our RCAT guy, and Roy Brown, the architect for the hallway project. And we went through, out of the 16 hallways, there are 9 that really need attention. The $50,000, in both their opinions, isn't going to be enough to even do the 9 hallways. And that would be just replacing the tile, the kickboards, and the sideboards going up the stairwell. Some of them are just the 2 landings, some are the 3, because we have a 3 in each of them. So they went around, Jim scaled them 1 to 3. There are 9 bad ones. They were going to go around and look at them, take pictures of them. The 4 worst ones will be the ones that we start with. And then Hugh will start to try and rearrange some things to get the other ones done. The tiles, especially, like if they're right in the doorway, you can put the mat over them and it's not a trip hazard, but if they're anywhere else, then it's a safety feature, so they're working on doing that. We do have to have everything tested for asbestos, so the guy will be coming in to do that, but, so it's gone from this project that had a lot to it to just, this is what it is.
Now,
So.
is that project funded by the state?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one of our fish projects. It's the one where the doors were $70,000
Okay.
for just the doors. And, you know, the doors are okay. There's nothing really wrong with the doors, so I would rather fix the tile, which is a safety hazard. I don't want anyone to trip or whatever, to slide under your feet. I've had that happen. I don't want anyone falling anymore. I know what it's like. So they went around and do that. He's going to have his report to me by the end of the week on, he's going to set up to have the asbestos tested, and then once we get all that, it'll go out to bid. So we can get going on that.
So even if we get all the 9 hallways done at some point, okay, 4 on this year's contract, and I
Right.
guess we still would not have changed 1 door?
No.
Okay.
No. And Hugh said that the project shouldn't have been a combined one like that. He said he wouldn't have done it that way because of the magnitude of it. He said
Yeah.
it's, that you can't just dump all the big things together or things like that together. You have to piecemeal them. He said, and then it's easier to put, into your CIP and everything. the hard part is, he wasn't here to help me with the CIP, so he's coming into somebody else's work, so he was gonna go back and look at things and see what can be changed around, and if we can move anything or change anything to try and get all of them done. The last thing I want is to have all these projects, like little projects not done, not have everything done.
Yes.
Then when you're putting it into the capital plan and the computer system, hallway 14, its life expectancy is now, 60 years, but hallway 15 is not, because you know what I mean? So it's hard to keep the paperwork going on that. So I want to
Okay.
get that done.
Well, I
as soon
think
as
the
possible.
most important thing to hammer back to the state is safety/liability. You know,
right.
We have to do this because the
Right.
tiles, because
Because of the safety
we have
aspect.
no choice. We
Yeah,
have
he said
to
if you
do
keep
it.
pushing the safety aspect, then it's,
Yeah.
it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
One of the other
Okay.
things that we talked about, so it was nice to hear what Gary had to say, is the fire alarm system that we have here. That was what the beeping is. It's an it's an older system, and the wiring and the stuff all kind of goes through the cellar. You don't know what's been compromised, but there's a lot of false chimes. There were 3 of them last night. So I asked them, can we come up with some money to try and fund getting a new alarm
That's for
system?
this building or the whole?
Well, it's the whole complex.
I see.
It's the whole complex.
Okay.
So he said, he would work on his end. We're going to have a couple people come in and give us
Mm-hmm.
quotes on a new system and see if we can come up with something to where it's, you can't treat them as it's just a whatever, because you don't know what it
Right.
is. And the last thing I want is the system to fail and not have it when we need it.
So would you say that between redoing the alarm system and redoing the hallways, that then we don't have significant safety issues anymore? Or are there other things? I mean, I'm assuming the doors were related to some other kind of security measure about how they locked,
Right.
and we haven't really had that kind of issue before. I mean, we're only, somebody could make the case, well, it could happen. Yeah, well, everything could happen.
Right, everything could happen. I honestly think that, the fire and the floors are really the 2 big safety things here. I mean, I don't know if you feel the same way as I do, but I don't really think there's a lot of,
I'm not at all worried about the doors.
yeah, no.
Yeah,
I mean, because
okay.
the apartment doors
Yeah.
are very sturdy, very solid. They're not hollow, they're,
They're a fire-rated
Yeah.
industrial door, as
Yeah.
far as I can tell.
so,
And
Yeah, okay,
I have no concern about that,
okay.
honestly.
so to me, it's just the fire and the flooring are the major concerns.
So it's more safety than security, which
Right.
the doors
Right.
were.
Right.
Okay.
Mhm, exactly.
Hugh said that, you're better off taking, all right, I want to do, the doors, but I can't do them all in one shot, so he said you just, roll it into little things. He said I would rather take one project and roll it into a couple years and do, instead of spending, if you have $100,000, spending $100,000 on one thing, and then you have nothing else to show for it, when you don't even have enough money to do that correctly. He said, so if you take that $100,000 and you roll it into 3 projects or 4 projects that go, for the next 4 years, at least you're getting whole things done. It might take you 4 years to get it, one thing completed. He said, but that's a better way to look at it, so.
Yeah, well, it's too bad we couldn't have put our funds into Bitcoin about a year ago. Then we'd have plenty of money for
Yeah.
building new buildings, anyway.
So that really,
Okay.
that's the major thing. And the only other thing I have is the policy updates. Like I said before, through the capital plan, all your policies have to be listed. So we just need to every month go through and update and have, reapproved dates. So if you look at
So there are 4 of them, right?
yeah, so the Corey one is new, and that's just because, DHCC regulates certain things on it. You can't just fill out a Corey form and turn it in. It has to be notarized, or it has to be filled out in front of us, or So it just, I have a letter now that goes out to them on that. And then we have to let you, the only one that has access to the query forms is Michelle and myself, so I have to let them know that also.
For new
Okay.
or for existing?
So it's both. It's both, because you do it on the new tenants that are coming in, but an existing tenant would be just if you know some, it might arise a time where you have to run it because of something.
For both here and,
Yeah.
and when they sign their lease, they sign with this.
So there is an actual form from the Department of Justice that we have to have them fill out and sign. And then that's the one that we actually have to keep it on file, and if they're having, if they're not accepted because of the query report, I have to actually sit down with them. If there's something on it, I have to sit and talk to them about it, because there is no, if you do this, there are a few, if you do this, this, and this, you're completely out. But there are more things that, well, it could be negotiable. It could be something that happened 45 years ago, and, you've completely changed your life around. Or it could have happened 5 years ago, and you've completely changed your life around, so it's, you have to sit and you have to talk to them about it. So it just kind of goes through everything.
So if Corey says no, you can say yes?
Well, it depends on what it is. There is a list of no's, but there's more a list of, like, an OUI. Now, an OUI really, it, could have been a mistake, could have been you don't have a problem, could have been whatever, but it could have been, you could have been doing it in your parking lot for family housing, or even, elderly housing, and hit someone. So you have to, there's no right or wrong, that you have to just sit, and unfortunately it comes down to a judgment call of what you feel is best.
Well, actually, that's good.
So it, that's why you have to sit and have the conversation. We had an applicant, and I had called to talk to one of them, and they were like, that didn't happen. And it's like, well, this is, she wanted a copy of it. We sent the copy to the two of them, and she got a hold of the police department, and she called me back and she said, thank you. She said, because that's on my record and that's not me. She said, I have the letters to prove it. So it, so sometimes it's, so it was, so anyways, that one's that. Then
Vote
the,
on this one?
You need to vote on all of them.
yep, you need to vote on, so, yeah, if you want to vote on this one.
So do you want to vote one at a?
Yeah,
we'll vote
it's probably
individually.
easier.
Okay, so I need a motion to approve the,
You're gonna put a date on this one?
Yeah.
So we know we approved
Yep.
it?
Make a motion that we approve the quarry policy.
I'll second that motion.
any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Does the quarry also apply to contractors that would come in here and work?
I don't know. I've never run a
Okay.
quarry on someone that comes in
Okay, I was just
to work.
curious.
If they're, Joe, if they're licensed, they're bonded.
Okay, they're bonded, then you,
Contractor,
okay, okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So the next one is the grounds and the flower beds around the buildings. Unfortunately, so the one that's on the back is the existing policy. Okay?
Oh, okay.
Trying to figure out what that was.
So Joe, I don't think you would have it in the ones you made, but it's on the ones that I made.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we've had issues this week with, we have a tenant in one building who has tomato plants in another part of the same building but farther down. And other tenants have always been able to pick tomatoes off of the tomato plants that were there, not knowing it was somebody else's. And I've had like 7 complaints about tomato plants this week. And picking, so I tried to make the policy a little black and white.
So that resident allows people to pick?
Yeah, he plants them for everyone else because he likes gardening.
Okay. And what's the problem with it? What are the
He lets
complaints about?
somebody else plant a plant there, and she doesn't mind one touching it.
Oh. Okay, why didn't that
So
person
then-
plant somewhere else?
Because she has flowers in front of her garden, and in front of her building, and she just didn't want to pull one of her flowers up to put a tomato plant in.
Well, yeah, tough ladies.
Yeah. So, so my thought is,
Here, go ahead.
we're gonna deal with.
I got another set, so you can keep those.
Yeah.
Yeah, for everything.
So,
The original is on the back of that
there's-
page. Okay. Yeah,
you're looking at a thing in front of a building, and there's 4 apartments in the building divided in 4. There's your section, there's your section, there's your section, there's your section. You can't go anywhere else.
that's right.
Whatever it's in the ground belongs to the Granby Housing Authority. So, in all right, if you wanted to pick a flower, you could pick a flower. If you wanted to pick a vegetable, you could pick a vegetable.
But you have to plant it in your own quad.
Right.
We used to have a community garden.
We did have a community garden, last year, and nobody wanted to water it and help take care of that.
It says here you can't fertilize or water. Watering the lawn.
The lawns,
Okay.
yeah, because
That's
we have a
to the
tenant
grass.
that's fertilizing the grass in front of her apartment building and then complaining because the grass isn't mowed enough. And on weekends, she waters it.
And when there's nobody on staff to report it to,
And you got 5 years, man.
I know. One of us has got to go. I didn't, that's not going to be on the record, please.
Well, she's
She's
recording.
recording.
You're just making a joke.
Yeah.
No,
So,
okay.
So there's no spigot to, how does this person water if there's, hose and, does
Water
each
what?
building have a spigot?
No, it's the lawn.
the lawn, each building has a thing, and she puts a hose on it and puts it
No,
on a
you can't
sprinkler.
water the lawn. You
The
can
lawn.
Water,
Doing.
Yeah, that's what
She's
she's
watering the lawn.
right, that's why you have that there.
Right.
I'm just saying you
Yeah,
can't
but
water.
that's, I didn't know there was a spigot in each.
Yeah,
Oh, there's a couple of them on the building.
Out.
Watering the
Outdoor.
lawn, a new add-on here?
Yes, the watering the lawn is not allowed in GHS, isn't it? Yeah,
yeah, that's an add-on.
yeah.
So
You can
people
water
didn't
your-
water before, years ago,
Uh,
months ago?
It was never on a policy. The only policy for the grounds was what was written on the back.
And I've only been here 4 years, and this is the first, but it is the first time I've seen anybody water a lawn around here.
But they would have it there to water their flowers.
Right, they can water
Yes,
flowers,
absolutely.
Everybody
Absolutely.
waters their flowers,
Yep.
it's just,
except for the community garden.
right. Well, because the reality is the lawn is community space.
Right.
So if somebody plants and then they're gonna argue that everybody's
Right.
walking on their grass, well, you can't.
Right,
But if you plant your plant next to the building, that plant is your plant.
right. Now, I spoke to Carolina, and she had said, no, you don't allow them to do that, but most places are town water,
Right.
whereas we have a well, so there is no fee
Yeah, there's
really
no
for
extra
it.
cost for that, right.
Whereas
Yeah.
in South Hadley, you have to pay for the bad tasting
If you
water.
plant a flower, it's the housing authority's flower.
Right.
They don't own any of their.
Right, you buy the flowers, you put them in the ground, it's with the
And
understanding
then
that it
anybody
becomes-
can touch it.
And, yeah.
Okay, I got it,
They
okay.
have no.
Yeah, once you put it in the ground, it's
It's public,
public.
it's public domain.
Yep.
It-
Okay.
To me, it's just sad that we have to do this.
It is,
You know,
it is.
It is.
So watering the lawn, is that because of a tenant is doing that now?
Yes.
So it's
And then,
like-
and then complaining, right, that somebody's walking on their grass? Is that what's going on, or?
No, more that it's not being mowed in a timely
Oh, it's not
fashion.
being mowed in a timely fashion, because she's watering, it, so it's growing faster.
And fertilizing.
And fertilizing it.
But fertilizing's okay?
No,
No,
Just above watering, you got fertilizing not allowed.
I mean, if you want it to where they can fertilize whatever, then that's fine, we
The
can
main
change it,
thing is
I'm
we're
just
trying
saying.
to keep, we're trying to keep chemicals out of the,
Yeah.
Right.
you know, that's all.
But it's never been, but it's never been there before.
Never been there
Never.
before.
But someone might say, just devil's advocate, you can put fertilizer down that's not an insecticide, that's not bad, that's
Mhm.
organic. So,
Well, you
right,
could,
you could.
but then we have to police that. Then we have to go out and we have to make sure that everybody's being honest
We
about
have
it.
one tenant who waters and fertilizes the lawn.
In front of that tenant's apartment, in front of her
And
building.
this is the first time, to anyone's knowledge, this is.
And the reason it's
Yes.
an issue is because that tenant is making it an issue about not keeping it mowed enough or whatever. So they're growing it, and then it's become an issue about, oh, well, why aren't you over here mowing it again, or it's too long, or, so it's a nitpicking thing again,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. It's a nitpicking,
Does this
trivial.
tenant- Does this tenant know that the board is looking to change this?
The tenant, the only thing the tenant knows about is and she doesn't know the whole portion of it, she just knows that I'm planning on doing something with the flower beds. She only has half the story. I haven't given her the entire,
I have a question, Tammy. When these policies are voted on, are they going to be posted?
and they'll be brought around.
Okay.
So does the housing authority plant any flowers?
Mhm.
Looks like you do, okay.
Okay,
So why are
Well,
we
they're not in
dividing
front
up
of the building, so you have a couple spots in the buildings down here where none of the tenants, some of the tenants that are in that portion of the building don't, they just, they don't do anything. So when I buy the flowers to go in the pots out front, I buy the ones that can be replanted in hopes that, eventually I'm gonna be filling in down and around, and I'm not just spending money on a plant and throwing it away. Because we do have sections that people don't wanna, they
So,
just don't wanna
If you
plant.
vote for this and you divide, each flower bed will be divided amongst the tenants,
Mhm.
and somebody doesn't want one, you're gonna put a flower there? I mean, I just see that causing trouble.
No, if you come up with something better, I'd be,
I mean, really, that's
Right.
the easiest thing.
Unfortunately, Diane,
Yeah,
this really needs to be spelled out as it
no
is.
flowers. I
You
mean,
know, that's it.
if it's so much trouble,
and then you have the new tenants that come in. They have no spot. They have no ground. They have no, where can I plant? Where can I plant?
Well,
Okay,
planting a flower is not a right,
right.
so,
It is a privilege because my sister-in-law lives at Lathrop Village in South Hadley. They do not have an area where they can plant outside,
No.
period.
it's not a right.
It's just grass and trees.
So they could take a pot and put it, in their window or something.
In the
if they
window,
really
yeah.
like flowers inside, and it's not, I would take flowers out of the equation.
so do we want to approve this? I know you have some reservations,
Well, the
Jim.
only question I have, is that typically, I've been thinking about this, usually when a policy like this, it isn't just brought up and then voted and enacted. Sometimes it's like you read a policy 2 times. It
Okay.
takes 2 meetings. And I don't know if that's, and then people know about this, because you don't want to surprise anyone, I think, with what's going on. I don't know how you do this, but how do you let people know that you're putting this new policy up? The board has reviewed it today, they're going to vote on it next meeting. The second reading is called, kind of thing.
Okay.
Like we did with the public comment. It wasn't done right away, because that was a major change. It was sort of spread out
Okay.
over a couple meetings, just so, if someone wants to give some comment, or come and do a public comment, they could. I just don't want this to be viewed as we're going after somebody who's doing something, and that's the way it seems to be. And again, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It seems like we're getting back at someone, because you can't be doing that. We told you, it's caused problems, and now we're gonna fix it. I don't know how everybody else feels. That's just sitting here. Maybe that's what I feel. So I can go either way on it.
Go ahead.
I just think it's, my whole thing is it's so sad that we have to even discuss this at all.
It is.
Part of me wants to say, hell no, let's just vote on it right now. But the other part of me says, yeah, let's see what the tenants think. I know, Joe, that we're setting policy and that you have your own thoughts on that, but maybe this one we need to do that, I don't know.
Well, I get it. My thought is, we are addressing a specific confrontational issue right now.
Mhm.
We wait another month, the summer's over. My thought would be, approve it, nobody's here, let everybody go bananas, okay? Let everybody react, get them to the meeting next time, and then we can modify it, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to have to say you can't water the lawn.
Okay.
I agree with fertilizer, you know, unless they bring an approved fertilizer that's stored in a place.
Right.
That then they have to go get that when they fertilize it, so you know you have control. I mean, you don't want to waste a lot of time, but I'm just saying that, you know, then maybe, you know, people come in, well, we want this, we don't want this, and then we can modify the policy based on what we think then will work for everybody.
Yeah,
I mean, that's just my thought. I mean,
Right.
if we wait a month, is there an impact on you, Tammy?
If we put it on hold for, no, I mean, I'll get.
Yeah, I mean, the issue that's.
The issue's gonna come up no matter what, and I'm gonna get complaints no
Okay.
matter what, because it's inevitable. But, we can certainly table it till next month, because I think that's why there are no tenants here, because they can watch it in an hour, or whenever she gets it uploaded. They can watch it without having to leave their apartments now,
Yeah, well, that's.
so,
Coming to the.
I do see what you're saying though, Joe.
you know.
Because you put this
Right.
out, man, I got an issue, I got this, I got that. I mean, that's if you want everybody here, and
Well, yeah.
knowing that the next meeting, we
Right.
would probably be spending a half an hour on this thing
Right.
before we ever decided to resolve that. That's my only thought. But if you don't, but based on how you're managing the situation now, if you don't think that you need this to make an impact, then certainly we can wait, but.
I mean, I
No.
honestly, I listen to the complaints, but there's nothing I can do about it.
Right, okay. But if
You
you have
know,
a policy, you can do something.
Well,
about it.
I mean, I just want the policy there, not so much that I can do something, but just to have them, to say that, you know what, this is the policy, you have to abide by the policy. Because right
And
now,
we still
there's
have a
nothing.
month of.
And we still
weather.
have a month of growing weather,
Yeah,
You know, I mean,
gardening weather, yes.
so my inclination, but again, you know, I don't want to overly influence the board because I think you guys have legitimate, you know, concerns about a few of the things we're doing, is to just pass it and then modify it.
I mean, I'm not, you know, the watering, I mean, it's not, you're in housing, you know, you feel lucky that you're getting a spot to plant flowers, but
Mhm.
it's not your area.
Your
It's,
land,
you don't
yeah.
own that. You know, you beautified it, and we're appreciative on it, but it you know, it's the housing
But-
authority's
right,
property.
everybody can walk on it, they can
Right.
trample on
You
it.
know,
Take flowers out of the equation, just
You mean the lawn?
Yeah,
flowers.
you have to clean it up in the fall, when it's time to
Yeah.
clean it up. Someone's gotta clean it all up. You don't-
Well, actually, most of the tenants are really good, and they take care of everything. Yeah.
Annuals, are they perennials they're putting, that are gonna come up next year, or
Yeah.
these are annuals?
Most of them come up every year. The flowers, the vegetables,
Everything I planted this year will be up next year,
yeah,
Okay, so you're not putting annuals in, you're putting.
no.
perennials.
in.
No.
Perennials, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the flower part is, I mean, we're really, right now, I think more of the reservation is really regarding the fertilizing or the watering of the lawn, but I agree with that, you know, I don't disagree with that, you know. I mean, it's disappointing certainly and sad that we even have to think about addressing that, you know, so.
Again, it's that whole nitpicking thing, Joe, that's going on.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that with that going on, I'm of the firm belief, and so whoever in the building reads it, that, you know, we're going to set more stringent rules so that we can get back to a level of public decorum and civility and all of that kind of stuff. And then if it really is an issue, as a board, I certainly as a chairman, will modify the policy to accommodate the tenants where, it certainly makes sense, and modify that. But right now, it's all about, I hate to say it, but it's like we're disciplinarians.
Right.
It's like to make things run right and let everybody live in a livable area, somehow we have to clamp down and we have to be the disciplinarians because people have decided that they don't have to discipline or control themselves. So, anyway.
I agree with what you were just saying, Joe, about the disciplinarians. How did these people get to be 60, 70, 80, 90 years old and then turn around and squabble over a friggin' tomato? It just doesn't add up. And then we have to turn around and, like you said, become the disciplinarians. No, you can't do that now.
Yeah, but, a lot of people have had tough lives.
That's true, too.
Let's not forget that. A lot
Right,
of people
sure.
aren't in the best situations, and
Or the best
and there's a
health.
lot of factors, and, you're frustrated, and you're not getting the help you need, and so I don't discount that, but it's okay if somebody lets loose on occasion,
Mhm.
but not on a consistent basis, then it's like, okay, this is like, I'm trying to manipulate the situation or
Right.
something like that. But anyway.
Is container gardening gonna come up after this? You know what I mean? If we take away something, I can get a container.
Well, I don't want to take away the gardening,
Okay.
because I think it's good for them. I think the
No, we
flowers,
want the gardening.
the flowers and the gardening and everything, it's
We're
just,
not-
I think
yeah.
that there has to be, you have to have a definition of, this part of, this is the space, there are 4
Well, that's
apartments.
what I mean, containers
Here's-
could make more space.
You know,
could have
here
a
is
container
this,
in the
here
middle
is
of the
that,
wall.
because now we have new tenants that come in, yet I have all this garden, but you are living above me and you like to garden, and now you have no spot.
Yes.
So, and you have no place for the containers, because you can't have them just out of everywhere,
That's
because
not-
then,
That doesn't say you can't have a container. I'm just saying.
it's true, because now they're on the walkway, because you
Yeah.
can't have them on the grass, because then the guys can't mow, because that, and you can't have them on the walkways, because now it's a trip hazard, and the wheelchair can't get around it, and so
Yes. Okay.
it's an ongoing,
Yep.
Yeah, so the policy is, we're setting guidelines about where you can plant
Right.
around the building, where you're
Right.
allowed to do it. If you live here, you're there.
right,
And then the other components were to address, watering the lawn and fertilizing the lawn. So, anyway. So what do we want to do? I mean, whatever. Do we delay it, or do we vote to approve it?
I would think since there's a few policies there, it seems to me, politically and professionally, to have a second reading of this. Go through them all now, and then they're up there so people can see them if we want, we'll come back with any discussion, so that we don't have to deal with, now there's an issue 3 months from now, and now we're gonna get into discussion and change it.
Okay.
Get the feedback now, and let's go with something. I mean, obviously, these here, since 2012, the ground, the feeding the animals since 2012. Do the tenants even know about these policies? Do they even know? Do they get it, when they get it, if I came in here now, do I get these policies?
when you
given to
come
me?
in, you,
All these, feeding animals and ground? Probably
No.
not, right?
no, because there's nothing is updated. We give them the majors, the smoking, the major policies,
But
but
this is, almost.
So this
10
is the
years now.
current
we're
policy.
trying to get everything updated and in a book and get it out to everybody. But we would take one whole meeting if I was to do that to all of you.
Right, but these are key ones that,
Right.
Okay.
We have time for the bird feeders, because you're not starting till December 1st.
Right.
So they go up. And weed killers, insecticides, makes a lot of sense, but just doesn't hurt to read them all once. and
Okay.
then approve them all, even though we did the Corey one already, because that's sort of different. That's for new people coming in, not people
Right.
who live here presently.
Right.
I would be in favor of just
Okay, well, that's
reading
fine.
them,
Okay.
discussing them, and then just
Okay.
Tabling.
So remember,
call it
the-
one first reading, and they'll be acted on at the next meeting. These will be the votes we taken on
Okay.
policy. So if we need to correct, change anything now in this is where we would change them,
Yeah.
such as correcting the flying fertilizer.
Oh, my
Not
spelling.
flying, Not Appling. Put a Y in there, I think.
Yep, that's that Granby education I got.
I do have one
Maybe it was my
observation
fourth or
though.
fifth grade teacher.
For Jim and Joe. Every fall, when the first bear is spotted, a notice goes around to take down the bird feeders. Those bird feeders are up until the bears go for their winter nap. People don't pay attention.
So take them down.
Right.
So we should allow maintenance if it's up after a certain date. As part of that
Absolutely.
bird
Well, we
seed
had
policy.
this, the beginning of the year, we had this issue, we were talking about it, and we had talked about.
Yeah, I
you know,
remember that now.
December, that's why I pulled it up now
Yeah.
to start.
Yeah, so what we could do is we could, we could state in the new policy that, the minute we see or hear of the first bear in the area, all the bird feeders have to come down, and that we will go around and check it, and we will take your bird feeder down if you have left it out. We will take that. And, I mean, I don't mean to
Absolutely.
make extra work, but I don't think that's that much work. So I would certainly want to put that in that policy.
Agreed.
So we should change it and not have a date and just say the,
First bear sighting.
Yeah, first bear sighting.
I think that makes a
Right,
lot of
That makes
sense.
sense. Don't set an automatic date,
Right,
because
right.
that's not necessarily fair, There may be a year when we don't have any bear sightings here.
Exactly,
you
exactly.
know. So. Okay. Anything else, Jim? So right now, on these four, right now, we are discussing, I guess, one at a time about what we're going to add or modify. We're not going to approve anything.
Right.
Tammy would go back, then she's going to, now, do we need to approve so that you can publish these on the board, saying tentative policy or something, or?
no, I mean, I can stick them up on the board right here and just make a thing that says
Oh, the
tentative policies.
First reading was done
Yeah.
August 22nd, whatever the.
Yeah, something,
24th period.
Right,
Right.
Next,
Right.
second reading and vote occurring on our September.
yeah.
We don't usually have.
It becomes a little bit difficult for me to
Really?
go to bat for the tenants when,
Well, that's okay. I mean, it may be more effective for you to go around one-on-one
it might be, yeah,
until you
sure.
get burned out on it.
Yeah,
I mean,
Right.
it can become a burden after a while, but still. Yeah, I mean, sometimes I feel that, there's a lot of people that don't want to talk up in public.
right, right.
Are uncomfortable, but one-on-one, if you can make them feel comfortable, then,
So the last thing is the
Yeah,
warrant
I
report?
have a good rapport with quite a few
The
of the
warrant
tenants.
report?
okay, well, I hope you.
Oh, I thought were we not done with them?
Did we decide one by itself?
I don't have that kind of budget.
Why wouldn't you, there's a mention about applying fertilizer is allowed in the ground flower, so why would we,
I can add it into that.
I don't think we need a separate one,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, I would put that there.
What are your thoughts on the use of Roundup?
Ooh, that's bad.
Yeah, right now it's
Absolutely not.
banned.
That's,
Okay,
no,
so
It should be banned.
should it state that or no?
well, if it says use of weed killers and insecticides is not allowed, that covers Roundup, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean, any, you could put any.
use of all,
Right.
use of all weed
Especially with
killers.
the well here,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah,
Yeah, you don't want that stuff seeping into the
yeah,
groundwater.
I mean, if it doesn't, if their plants don't take, I mean, I'm sorry, but so be it.
Right,
you know?
exactly.
And it's a small, so you have to go back to the old way of,
Right, weeding.
of weeding and keeping the bugs
Right.
out so it all grows, that's
Right.
all.
That's all.
Right, so.
Yep.
I mean, for the first time in 20 years, last year I had to use a pest, an insecticide
Yeah.
and pesticide in my yard, so. It made a difference, but,
Tammy, what report did you say we need to go over?
The warrant report, detailed disbursement journal.
okay. Yeah, so
Because
once
the
we,
new program doesn't and it renamed it.
Okay, so are we done with these then, guys?
Yes, we're just,
Okay.
I'm gonna put it out on the thing and we'll
Just put
take
it
it
out
till
and
next
then,
month.
and then the agenda, each one of those is an agenda item next time, so, and if you make up separate agenda items, it'll all stare everybody in the face when they get it. And if they don't show up, well,
Then we'll just vote on it.
then, hey, then they've given us power of
Right.
attorney or something. Okay. Okay, so housing, in the bills, is there anything unique here that we haven't seen before?
The only thing in here is the $7,600 for the hot water tank.
Okay,
Really, that was the only big
yeah,
thing,
and problem solved, right?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
good.
There's a plumbing company.
Okay. And the checks that we signed are related to this
Yeah,
disbursement journal?
yep, I ran this
Okay.
after I did those.
Okay, and while Gloria's out, if you need, are you on for signature on checks now?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
So, or if you need me, call me.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so really, there was nothing,
Okay, there it is.
we have an additional, insurance expense. Dakota went on the insurance.
Okay,
So that's, but that's,
yeah.
big deal.
Why suddenly?
He hit 26, so he's off his
Oh,
parents.
okay, yeah.
Which one is that one?
It's under the group
Oh, I see,
insurance,
okay.
along with Nancy.
Group insurance, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a percent we pay?
Yeah, yeah. I want to say it's like,
Is that a monthly withholding?
that's yeah, so Gary takes it out of his check weekly.
Oh, I see. So he breaks it, but the total amount for the month is what's posted
Is
here?
what's posted there,
Okay,
Yep.
wow, that's a great deal.
yeah.
It's a better deal than Hampshire County. So really, could I say then that, that health insurance for employees, given what the state policy or rate is for the premiums, do we make up the difference at some place in our budget? No.
No.
So they're just paying that, and then it's the state plan, right?
Yeah.
And this is the same plan you're on?
I'm not on it.
Oh, you're not on it?
No, I don't
Oh,
have
that's
that
right, you don't
3/4 of an hour.
Yeah, that's right. I went to,
Good one.
that's, well, no, I remember now, because I had to go to bat for Mary, and they approved it because, oh, she's ahead of 2. And then I went, when we converted over last year, I went to bat for you, and they said, no, the policy is, we
Yeah.
just made that exception once, Oh, no, I mean, everybody like her doesn't qualify for health insurance, because they keep the hours,
20 hours.
You have
because
to be 20 hours, yeah.
they keep the hours just below the number that's required.
So there's an
To qualify.
executive director somewhere else for part-time who took a full-time 20-hour-a-week position at another housing authority in the office to get her benefits.
Right,
And it's
Right.
allowed.
yeah. Well, no, but that wasn't allowed before.
Yeah.
I argued for
Yeah,
that.
I just thought that was funny.
I know, but I argued, I made a case, I went to everybody on that. It took them, I had to rattle the cages again after 4 months before they finally came through and said, okay, yes, we're approving it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because,
The conference is coming up in September. I would like to
yeah,
try
you
and
should
to
go.
it.
Do you want to go?
Is it on the tape?
It's on the Cape.
It's on the Cape.
Yeah,
on the
I don't
Cape.
want to go, yeah.
Yeah, the problem right now is, I think everybody that's
Is going?
a part of everything is going because the Seacrest doesn't have anything available, so now I have to
I
look.
see.
So-
Oh, yeah, well, even last time
Yeah.
I went, people that made a decision at the last minute
Yeah,
that I met, they were staying at a different hotel.
yeah.
Which
Yeah.
one is it?
It's in Falmouth.
Oh, yeah, well, you should have booked that like 4 months ago.
Well, they did, I mean, I want to say it
Or
was
3
like
months.
2 weeks, and there was no.
Yeah, well,
they were
everybody
not- yeah.
decided to go then,
Yeah,
right?
So,
Okay.
so I would,
Yeah,
if
but
you
you're
would like
welcome
to
to go
go.
too. I'm not gonna go this year, but there is a budget, so your hotel expenses and stuff. And Diane, if you ever wanna go.
For 10 years, I'm not going back.
Oh, well,
So,
I mean.
I'll give you the information in case you want.
Okay, that'd be great.
What I would say to everybody is that it's worth going once, just to see how everything operates, how DHCD works. You get the bigger bureaucratic feel, and they'll deal with different issues, and they'll have favorite things. They'll do seminars on, okay, well, this is how you have to approach eviction,
Right,
for non-rent, so they'll have different classes or stuff like that. So I found it beneficial, and the biggest thing I found beneficial was I identified people and introduced myself that I could network with to ultimately get Mary's health insurance approved. I mean,
yeah.
it was that, and the other thing was the mini-split issue. Those were the two big
Yep.
things that I had focused on there. But just go, they'll have one great meal, they have group meals and stuff, but you can network a little bit, and you'll see how different operations go, so. Okay,
All right, so we just need a motion on the,
okay, I need a motion for the disbursement journal.
I'll make a motion to accept the detailed disbursement journal from 8/1/21 through 8/31/21.
Second.
Any further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay, and, is there anything else anybody wants to bring up before we adjourn?
well, with that, for next month's meeting,
Yeah,
the,
I mean, I wanted to go through that,
Wednesday's
yes.
the 22nd, you're coming home.
right, that would be the day, the last day of the conference,
Yeah,
so,
so we should do it
the
What-
week after,
let's do it at the end of the month, the week after.
29th?
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing critical that makes us want to meet earlier, right?
Nope,
Okay.
nope. Do we want to stay with Tuesday, or do we want to go to Wednesday? And
What's best, well,
Now,
what's
school's
best for you?
starting.
school's starting with me, so what's best for me would be an 11 o'clock during the day, or a...
And 11 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah,
or 6 o'clock at night?
Yeah.
Okay, I leave it to the committee, what do you want to do? Would you rather meet in the morning, or would you rather meet at 6 at night?
Morning.
At 11?
Hey.
Jim?
What is Gloria? I can't remember what Gloria has.
Gloria may be out for a full month, so don't
She was
don't
on-
worry
I
about
think
it.
she didn't want during the day because of Fran.
Right,
I
but
think
now
that
it's-
was
Yeah.
the issue.
She didn't want that, and then sometimes because she volunteers down here for lunch.
That's true.
But I would not necessarily yet expect her back. She said, I'll be out at least a month, so certainly this meeting,
So
so.
at 6 o'clock, you're staying after your,
I would come back when I'm done with the bus. I'm off the bus at 4.
so not 5.
Okay,
It's hard to say. I thought the daytime would work out better for the tenants. That hasn't proven so yet.
well, I don't think it's that, would you rather have 11?
I would rather have 11, yes.
How about you, Jim? What would you rather have?
Either one right now.
Okay, what about
Wednesday
you?
the 29th.
11?
11.
Okay, then we'll go with 11 on the 29th.
Wednesday the 29th.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, then we just need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn the meeting?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, adjourned at, I guess, 3:30.